So, how to win at Cthulhu Wars? I assume you're all familiar with Cthulhu Wars. Played it. You want to know? Okay. So we go something. What is this actually? Okay. So general rules of Cthulhu Wars. So the first thing to remember is your faction is the most overpowered, unbalanced faction in the game. And if you can get your act together and get your engine going, nothing can stand in your way. The problem is everyone else is also the most overpowered faction, and if they can get their engine going, it's going to stop your gravy train, right?
Yeah, you gotta stop clicking on the right-hand side.
You just tap the pad and that should
Okay,
be it.
I did do that. So get that do the engine going. It's different for every faction, you know. And we're going to go into the individual factions later on.
Can everyone see this?
That's okay.
Okay.
Take the glare off it.
But okay. So next, in Cthulhu Wars, you probably already figured this out. You got to be aggressive. Okay. If someone says, "Hey, let's make a deal," and works up now, like just mock that guy. That's not how Cthulhu works. If you're making a deal in Cthulhu Wars, it shouldn't be, "Hey, let's you and me not fight each other while we do something else." It should be, "Hey, you attack him on that side, and I'll attack him on this side, and we'll each eat part of it." That's a Cthulhu Wars diplomacy, right? So now Cthulhu Wars is not really about carefully plotted strategies that you never deviate from and must rigidly follow. You may have a plan. Your plan is, I'm going to do X, and then I'm going to do Y, and then I'm going to do Z. But if you see a chance to pull off W, seize it. You got to be flexible and able to go for the opportunities. If you skip it because your head is fixated on something else, that's going to hurt you. Okay. Now. Every faction has some vulnerability, and you do need to plan ahead for this. For example, Crawling Chaos and Sleeper suck if their Great Old One is killed. It's really hard to recover from losing your Great Old One. So, when you're summoning your Great Old One, like you say, okay, if I summon him, can someone come and easily kill him? I so often see someone summon their Great Old One, and then someone comes, then they're like, I got my Great Old One, haha, I'm good. Then like Nyarlathotep comes in and kills them, or someone else, and you're like, what? And then like they spend the extra recovery, and it's sad. So you have to say that if I summon him, will he survive? And quite often the answer is yes, because he got enough stuff. But like, don't leave him vulnerable. Sleeper and Crawling Chaos are particularly prone to this. It's partly because their assets for guardianship are different from the other gods. They got the same kind of toughness, right? And also partly because they really are dependent on the Great Old Ones for the majority of the stuff. Cthulhu doesn't really care if you kill him, right? King in Yellow doesn't really care if you kill him. And if you kill Hastur, well, he's sad a little bit, but he doesn't rely on Hastur to win the game. If you summoned him, that's enough. So now, Great Cthulhu, however, has other vulnerabilities. If he's not attacking and on the move and being aggressive, then he sucks, and he's not going to win the game. So you want to make sure that you're remembering that while you're looking for the opportunities and getting your engine going. Okay, so some fundamentals of the game. First, don't build 2 gates on the first turn. All right? I don't know if you may be experienced enough to know this, but I thought I better mention it, because if you do, you will be out of power, and then Crawling Chaos or Black Goat will come in with a ghoul or something, and they'll steal your cultist and take your gate. So, just only build 1 gate on the first turn. Then, you can summon a monster or something. But because building 2 gates takes all your power, and you're sitting there with 1 cultist on a gate, and the other guy who plays after you is like, I still have 3 power left. I didn't build a gate. I think I'll go do something with that power, and it's not fun. Okay. Don't move when you can summon. I die a little inside when I see someone say, "Ooh, someone can get this gate," so they move a deep one over there, or Nikon said, "Look, it costs the same to move a deep one as just to summon a new one, and then you have 2 deep ones instead of 1." So just summoning is often way better than moving, even if it's cheaper to move because of the defensive unit. It's usually better to summon. So summoning is an awesome way of moving. Okay, don't turtle. You know what turtling is? Okay. Cthulhu Wars is weak and ineffectual at turtling. Okay, if you you really can't defend a gate in Cthulhu Wars. If someone wants to come take your gate, they're gonna get it, or they're gonna make you pay for it, right? The closest person to being able to defend their gate in the starting factions is Black Goat. They can put a ton of crap in Africa, but really even Black Goat, like it's offensive that counts. Take their stuff, you can't defend yours. For sure, Cthulhu can't. He can't ever defend his gates. They're right for the taking, but the thing is he takes enough other ones to make up for it. Okay. Also, summon your Great Old One early. Okay, even if it hurts a little bit. If you're not have to sit in a home watching TV instead of going around the map doing things, you're wasting your time. You want to get your Great Old One out by the second or third turn if you can. The earlier the better, because if you get your Great Old One out in the second turn, that means starting with the third turn, you have all your power and you have a Great Old One to do things with, and that's way better than dinking away your second or third turn with like, I'll summon a monster and I'll build a gate and I'll do this. Instead, you got a Great Old One. You can still build monsters and build gates, but the Great Old One is really going to make a difference. Okay? Now you need to have a kind of a plan. Like if you're trying to, I said you have to be flexible, and you do, but like if you're playing, do all of you guys, have any of you played with Atlatnacha, the Spider God? So the Spider God is one of the neutral Great Old Ones, and his ability is that you can pay 1 power and put a web token on the map in the area, if there's not already a web token there. And his spellbook is earned when there's 6 web tokens. And the spellbook says, win the game.
It says action cost 0, win the game.
Action cost 0, win the game. So you're trying to get your 6 webs, and then you win the game. Well, obviously, once you're to 3 or 4 web tokens, the other players are like, we need to kill Atlatnacha. And like, you're piggy in the middle, and everyone's piling on you to kill your guy, for obvious, because they can't let you win. And of course, the cool thing is once they kill Atlatnacha, then the web tokens are still there on the map. Next person to summon Atlatnacha starts like 4 web tokens in the bank. But one thing I've seen a person do, he got Atlatnacha, and then instead of using this power to try to get the web tokens and protect Atlatnacha, he did a ritual. Well, you're going to win by Atlatnacha. You shouldn't be doing rituals if you're doing that, because those are different things. So be aware of that sort of stuff. Now, you need to go back. Oh, we'll go back. Okay, so understand your spellbooks. If you think one of your spellbooks for your faction is not good, do some research on it. I guarantee someone has used it effectively online, and they're going to be talking. There's a Cthulhu Wars wiki, a strategy wiki, which has hints on a lot of these spellbooks. There's guys on Board Game. I don't know if Board Game Quest does, but it might. And so, for example, the Yellow Sign spellbook of Zingaya is like badly underused. It's super effective when you use it properly, and almost no one does. Because you can use that to get rid of an enemy cultist. You don't care if his Great Old One's there. You just turn him into a zombie, and you got that guy. You got a monster. He lost a cultist for 1 power, and maybe he's not in his gate anymore because, Zingaya. So that's an example of one that's not used enough. There's others that are not used. Just look at all the when you think of this, well, I'm trying to get these spells. Why am I not getting that spell? And think about it and think how you could use it. Okay, now, next this is the most critical rule of all Cthulhu Wars. Go for the strong guy. Hit him if you have a choice. Don't hit the weak guy. The weak guy looks easy to hit because he's vulnerable. But the strong guy is, if someone's going to beat you, it's going to be him. So now it doesn't mean you want to cripple yourself killing him. But like, for example, let's take Cthulhu. Cthulhu is mighty and powerful. Well, but Cthulhu doesn't have that many monsters. He only has 4. Or actually, he has 8. But they're like, that's not many compared to most factions. So Cthulhu can't really afford to have a lot of monsters around defending his citadels. Usually half of them are off the map and being submerged. So he can't really defend his gates. So you can go and take him out where he's weak. Don't hit Cthulhu, hit him where, right? But if Cthulhu's a strong player, hit him. Same is true for all the factions have some place you can hit him in. Yellow Sign is vulnerable to having his cultist captured. Okay? He gets power from us, so he thinks he's not vulnerable, but he is because he gets him captured and then he has power, but he has nothing to spend it on because his cultists are all sitting in your pool waiting to get sacrificed next turn. And the next turn he has to get it back. So think of that. Now, we can talk a little longer about this. So, a lot of gamers instinctively realize go for the strong guy. That's why they have the thing in the game. So I'm not winning. She's winning. She has all the elder signs. See, they're all stacked up high. But so people kind of know this, but I still see people. Now, sometimes it's different. Like if you're crawling chaos, one of the advantages you have is that you can go hit someone anywhere on the map and get them and prey on the weak and helpless. Okay, so you want to be able to do that. But that is a general rule that is useful. So let us go ahead to the next. We're going to talk about the independent great old ones and neutrals. Oh yeah, that. Okay, so in the game, you may not have played with them yet, but there's independent great old ones and there's neutral great old ones, and the independent monsters. Okay. Now the general rule you want to follow here is that you only want one extra great old one. Okay, and you only want one neutral monster type. Don't get more than that, because if you get more than that, I guarantee you're not going to be using them, and you'll have wasted your doom points for nothing. Okay, so you just take one of these, one neutral monster. Now it's okay. Now sometimes you can take it because this is the perfect neutral monster that's going to help your faction be awesome. But you can also take it because this is the perfect neutral monster that someone else's faction wants to have, and you can take it so they don't. You still get the benefit of the monster, but importantly, they don't get it. Let me give you an example. There's Ihort. Okay, this is a great old one, and Ihort's ability. Don't click it yet. Oh yeah, you did. Because Ihort's ability is that it turns all your cultists into the spawn of Ihort, and these are 0-point monsters that can't move and can't attack. And in combat, they can take hits, and they generate 1 power each. Okay, so in effect, you just got 6 new cultists. Then you recruit your old cultists back. Well, if the Tcho-Tchos get this, then they have a giant armada of cultists in power because they rely on their cultists for everything. So Ihort's perfect for them. They want Ihort. So if you're playing the game with Tcho-Tchos and you have a chance to get Ihort before them, you might want to do it just to keep them from getting it. Now, of course, you can still beat them if they get it, but it might be easier if not. Okay, so one great old one. Now, there could be exceptions. Okay, if you are Great Cthulhu, each great old one you summon gives you an Elder Sign, so that might be worth doing just to get the Elder Signs. Or if Gobolgag is in the game, that's one of the independent great old ones. That one's ability is that it makes all the great old ones give you a reimbursement on the cost of 6 power. So if you summon a great old one that costs 4 power, then right afterwards, Gobolgag gives you 6 power, so really you made 2 power off doing it. So with these guys, you can summon all the great old ones. So Gobolgag is, by the way, the great old one about the end of the universe. So basically, when he comes to the game, everyone's summoning a million great old ones, and there's all of these clashing powers, and the game ends really fast because that's what you expect to happen to him. Okay, now we're going to talk about the strategy on the individual maps. So first, the Primeval. Have you even played on the Primeval map? No? Okay. So the Primeval map, the way it works is that there's the glaciers that come in, and the first turn, the glaciers land on all of your gates. And when there's a glacier on a gate, you have to abandon it. So suddenly everyone loses their gates. You have to have a plan for what you do after turn 1 when you're losing your starting area and gate. But the second thing that's important to know about it is that, and then every turn, more glaciers start coming in covering gates. And you can tell which areas are going to be getting them, but because you can see the glacier markings on the map. But here's the other thing. So you have these glaciers covering your map, covering the gates, right? But abandoned gates, as you know, give you 1 power each, right? So let's say, the first turn of the game, in a 4-player game, you have the glaciers come in on all 4 gates. Okay. The next turn, you have 4 abandoned gates. So everyone's getting 4 extra power. Plus you still have your cultists, plus you have a new gate. So really, the glacier map is not a power-poor gate, it's a power-rich gate. You have tons and tons of power. And you're constantly feasting on power. But there's not very many gates. So it's okay to only have 1 or 2 controlled gates. That's a reasonable number on this map. Okay? But what that also means is that it's okay to ritual with just 2 gates. Okay? And usually what happens, because you have tons of power, so you can afford it. Okay? And usually what happens in this map is that it almost never goes to 30 doom. It always ends by ritualing for sudden death. This means that you're not going to go to 30 doom. So having 15 doom instead of 12 might be what wins you the game, because the game's ending early. So you want a ritual, you want to get 1 or 2 gates is fine. You work ahead and do it. Okay. So has anyone played on the Dreamlands map? Okay. So the Dreamlands map has the feature that there's these citadels on the map. And if you control all 4 citadels at once, you win. Okay?
On the top or bottom. There's 2 sections.
There's 2 different areas.
Overworld.
Now, if you decide that you want to do the citadel win, don't ritual. Go for the citadels. Okay? Focus only on the citadels. You need all your power to capture those citadels. It's hard. Okay? And that's the thing to think. Now, here's the thing. If you're going for on a 4-player game, if one player goes for citadel win, I would say he has probably about a 25% chance to win. So it's kind of the same chance to win as if you're going for the regular win, except like you're doing something different and more fun. It might surprise them. Might give you a little bigger chance. Now, some civs find it a lot harder to do a citadel win, like the Tcho-Tchos and the Sleeper finds it hard. So for one of them, you may not want to try that. Okay, so yes, the Yuggoth map. I'm assuming you didn't play the other ones. You haven't played the Yuggoth map either?
I haven't played the game.
What?
I haven't played it.
You haven't played the game? Oh, well, you're here for the strategy session. Well, in that case, you guys have played the game. Okay. And I will rely on them to give you a very brief review of the game.
Like I said, it's like Risk instead of Cthulhu.
I've seen it.
Okay. You like it? Okay. There we go. Okay. Well, there's my review. So on the Yuggoth map, there's 3 weird things on the map. There's the slime lake, there's the laboratory, and there's the green pyramid. You won't be able to get all of them. Just go for one. Okay? The exception is it's okay to go to the lab just long enough to get some brain cylinders, and then you abandon it. Let whoever had to get it. And the Watcher comes out of the green pyramid and kicks everyone's ass. So you want to be careful about trying to keep your Grey Old One in such a way that they won't kill him. A common thing I've seen happen is Cthulhu brings out Cthulhu right near the Watcher and then leaves him there and doesn't try to guard him, and the Watcher comes and kills Cthulhu. And I guess Cthulhu can take it because he's a big guy, but usually you want to be careful about that. Now, the library map. So there's library books on this map that give you really good abilities. So you want to get one of these early and use it repeatedly. Yeah, use that book. Next, everyone gets a silence token. It's a library, you have to be quiet, right? So you have to shh. And when you activate, you can use a silence token to activate the librarian or the custodian. So some players will play this map and they'll use the silence token like at the very end of the, oh yeah, I gotta use a silence token, I guess use that now. Don't do that. Like plan ahead and say, ooh, you know what? He's in the lead. Let's hit him with the silence token. Make the librarian come and ask for the book to come back, and so that's what you do there. Okay. The Shagai map is brand new. I hope we were going to have it for Gen Con, but we don't. So the Shagai map is falling apart as you play it. The world is being destroyed. Okay? So the thing is, that means you can't plan very far ahead because an area you're looking at might not be there in a couple turns. So you have to be proactive and do things right. There's only the now. You're trying to race against destruction. A race which you will lose. Now next, this means that now the areas where these worms show up, and the worms are a mark that the area is going to be destroyed soon. Don't bother moving units out. Just leave them. It's cost too much to get out. Let them die. When they die, you actually get power and signs the Elder Sign, so it's okay. An expensive unit you might want to move out, but a cheap one, screw them. I mean, it's not like you're loyal to your units. You're Cthulhu for Pete's sake, right? So just leave them there to die. Now we're going to go to the individual factions. Great Cthulhu. Okay, for your first move as Great Cthulhu, don't go to a land area because you want the 3 gates in the ocean. Go to a sea area. That means usually you're going to go to the Indian Ocean, the South Atlantic, or the South Pacific. Go to one of those. Second, in general, unless you have a plan, which is okay to have, you want to wake up Cthulhu on turn 2. So turn 1, you build 1 gate, guard it with a monster or something. You use your 10 power, and now that's 10 power. So next turn you're going into with 10 power. Use that 10 power to get Cthulhu. Then in turn 3, you've got Cthulhu. And you can start taking names. Okay, now, remember I mentioned earlier Cthulhu can't really defend his gates? So, don't try. I mean, put a monster there so it's not trivial to take your gates. But you're not about defense. And someone comes takes your gate, say, okay, fine, I'll take one of yours or someone else's. It's not an issue, so don't worry about that. Now, here is how to use dreams. Here is your monster, a deep one, and you've walked into a space where there's a loathsome enemy cultist that you hate on a gate. Okay? You dreams, hey look, he turned to your color and he's still on the gate, and now you have monsters that are guarding him. And even if he had a monster there too, that monster can't do anything about it. The only way you get to save that gate is to have 2 cultists there, or 2 cultists and a monster, and then it's like he has so much stuff there that that's like over-defended and you can go somewhere else. So that's how to use dreams. More on how to play Great Cthulhu. Okay, Cthulhu has a lot of cultist management stuff, okay? Because you use your devolve ability to turn your cultists into deep ones. You use your absorb ability to eat your cultists and add them to your attack. And you use your dreams cultists to turn other guys into your cultists. So you're kind of cycling cultists through. So you always want to have at least 1 cultist and 1 deep one in your bank, so to speak, ready to go on. And if you don't, then absorb 1 or devolve 1 to get them there. Okay? Shoggoths are for killing enemy units, because they absorb your deep ones and they add to their attack and you give this giant dice roll that kills everything. Starspawn, since they absorb damage and regenerate, therefore saving your ass from being killed by them. So if you want to be offensive, go Shoggoths. If you want to be defensive, you want to kill them still, you can go with Starspawn. If you want to do 1 of each, you can do 1 of each. Okay? Now, Cthulhu plus 2 Starspawn is a really good combination for doing things. Okay, here's why. He goes into an area and he attacks. So first, Cthulhu devours 1 enemy. That's 1 kill. Then, before they even get to fight, then you roll 12 dice. Hey, that's 2 kills on the average. Okay? Now the enemy strikes back. Well, the first 2 kills they hit you with, your Starspawn absorb. That means they have to get 3 kills on you to score 1. Okay? Meanwhile, you got 3 kills on them, right? That's a big differential. Okay? And then if they do manage to get 4 kills, okay, you kill a Starspawn, boo-hoo, but you did your damage. That's kind of like my wrecking team. Okay, now, also, because Cthulhu gets the Elder Sign every time you summon Independent, he's the one guy that I might be worth summoning the cheap Independence, like a 2-power one. Like, sure, I'll get him for an Elder Sign. I'll get him for an Elder Sign. And then someone kills him, you don't care, I'll summon him again and get another Elder Sign, right? So that is Cthulhu. The Crawling Chaos. How to play him. Okay, the first thing is, the hardest thing for you to do physically is capture enemy cultists. So early on, you want to have that first turn Night Gaunt or Flying Polyp and watch for a chance. Now against experienced enemies, it may not come too early, after the second or third turn. Eventually you'll be able to get it, so don't cry if you can't. But first turn, if you can, you want to get that cultist. Now, all your monsters roll sucky dice for combat, right? Night Gaunts roll 0, Flying Polyps roll 1, or sometimes 0 because they're invisible. Even your Hunting Horrors only roll 2 dice. So your main source of combat power is Nyarlathotep. That's the guy that does the damage. Cthulhu can actually send in his minions and actually have a good chance of rolling a lot of dice. You can't. So you got to wait for him for the damage. Your monsters have really great abilities, and they're kind of all defensively oriented. The reason for that. Now, Night Gaunts are good because they can kill an enemy guy. Now, if you have a Night Gaunt with Nyarlathotep, don't abduct, because that takes your Night Gaunt off and kills an enemy. Leave them on them, so if you get any kills on Nyarlathotep, you can hit a Night Gaunt instead, because it only costs 1 to replace. But if they're on their own, abduction's fine, right? Okay, his best buddies are the Hunting Horrors, because they fly in. Because you're always about power when you're Crawling Chaos, and these guys they fly to where your battle is. But they don't cost you power to fly in, and suddenly you have 2 guys there to protect you while you're rolling your dice. So that is a super useful thing. Now you're the only faction that can't get power during Gather Power. You have to get them during the turn using Harbinger, which is the ability that when you hit an enemy Great Old One, you get either Elder Signs or power, and Thousand Forms, which I'm sure you all remember that, where you roll the d6 and get the power. So you want to save that for then. Now, if you score big on Thousand Forms, it's possible to say, I'm so rich, I have lots of power, now I must dominate the world. But probably what you should do when you get all that power, use it to get those spellbooks that cost 4 or 6 power, because they're a pain to get. And if you scored 4 or 5 power or 6 power even in Thousand Forms, that's a perfect use for it. Get that spellbook. because it's going to be hard to get otherwise. And there it is. Also, if the enemies are all eyeing all your power and usually spending the spell book, they're like, oh, his power's the same as us. We don't have to worry about him. But of course they do. Okay, now, the final thing is every time you shake the king in Yellow Tree, 2 elder signs drop out. He is your favorite god in the whole map. Go after him, frighten him, hit him. 2 elder signs every time, and that's a great thing. Okay, how to play the Black Goat. Okay, if you get Shub-Niggurath on the very first turn, don't take 1,000 Young. 1,000 Young is the ability that makes your units all cost less, but you can't use it because you got all your power selling Shub-Niggurath. Instead, get Blood Sacrifice, so during the next Doom phase, you can kill a cultist and get an Elder Sign. Get 1,000 Forms the second turn, or 1,000 Young second turn. Okay? Now, also, on the first turn as Shub-Niggurath, as Black Goat, don't spread into 6 areas to get 2 spellbooks. You'll be super overextended, and everyone's going to come eat you. So just, don't do that. Now, if you're getting Shub-Niggurath early, you should be focusing on getting Blood Sacrifice and 1,000 Young. Now, Blood Sacrifice is your main way of getting Elder Signs, extra Elder Signs, so you want that as early as possible in general. Now, if you're getting Shub-Niggurath late, like in turn 2 or 3, then you want to get Red Sign or Frenzy early on. Okay? Red Sign and Frenzy let you, Frenzy lets you knock other guys off their gates with your cultists only, lets you attack back better, and Red Sign. So we're going to look at some different signs. Black Goat has a lot of options for a starting move, so we're going to go through 3 of them here. Okay, so, round 1. Kill 2 cultists to get a spell. Right? Pick Red Sign. That costs you nothing. Of course, you lost 2 cultists. Okay? Second step. Summon a Dark Young. This Dark Young now counts as a cultist because he got Red Sign. And he costs 3, but you're cool. And then move the Dark Young to an adjacent area and build a gate. So you have now spent 6 power on 3 power summoning them. Oh no, 7 power. 3 power summoning the Dark Young, 1 to move, 3 on a gate. But you have a gate they can't kick you off or capture you from. Now, remember I said Rolling Chaos is trying to capture your cultists? Well, you can't capture your Dark Young. Okay? And then for your last bit of power, recruit one of the cultists back. You'll go into next turn, you will have 2 gates, effectively 6 cultists, because one of them is the Dark Young. Okay? And, so plenty of power, and you'll be at the spellbook, ready to go. So ready to summon another Dark Young, do other things, and you're good to go. So this is a good start, the Red Sign start, I call it. Okay? Next. Oops. So here's another possible opening thing. So, start of the game, move into 4 areas. Get a spellbook. Then, take 2 of those cultists and move into 2 of the cultists. In other words, you have guys in 3 areas right now. Right? So you sent 3 power, 1, 2, 3. Take 2 of them, take them off, and get a spellbook. So, I don't know, you get any spellbook you want, right? Then, on the 1 cultist that remains, build the gate and recruit back your cultists. Okay? You're going to go into the second turn with 2 spellbooks, 4 to 6 cultists or a ghoul, and 2 gates. You're way ahead of the game now. Okay? Okay, number 3. Opening move, awaken Shub-Niggurath. Cost you 2 cultists, take Blood Sacrifice. Turn 2, the second turn, you have Shub-Niggurath and only 6 power because it costs 2 cultists. So, you use Shub-Niggurath using the Avatar ability, which is criminally underused, to seal a gate. You can go somewhere and get a gate. And then you recruit back, when you go to get the gate, you recruit your cultists on that gate, so you have it. And on turn 3, you've got Shub-Niggurath, 2 spellbooks, 2 Elder Signs, and 10 power. Turn 2 is kind of weak, but it's strategically possible, and no one can really come fight you yet in turn 2. Like Cthulhu probably summoned Cthulhu, so he can't do anything on turn 2, right? And Crawling Chaos either summon your Nyarlathotep or not. Either way, you don't have to worry about Nyarlathotep. So you can go into turn 3 good, but you'll seem weak the first 2 turns, which also has an advantage because the other players will say, "Oh, look how weak Shub-Niggurath is. Only has 4 or 6 power," and you go, "Yeah, that's the ticket. I'm weak." Okay. Okay, how to play yellow sign. Okay, be aware that experienced players will not let you pretend that you're weak because you have low doom. They will know. Okay, and they should. Don't let them slide into the radar because everyone says, "Oh, look how low my power." So what he does is he gets all these elder signs, so he has that to win instead. And the first couple of times you play, the yellow sign is really good because no one realizes that. And then later on they go, "Oh yeah, yellow sign. Keep an eye on him. He's bad." Okay. Now, another thing people do, they start the game and they take the king in yellow, and the first thing you always do is summon the king in yellow, then you move into an adjacent area, then you either desecrate or build a gate or something, right? But they always go to Scandinavia. I can't figure this out. I was going to say, don't go to Scandinavia out in the middle of nowhere. Go to the North Atlantic where you can hit any direction. That's the ticket to me, I think. So I think they're afraid he's going to be killed by something, but what's going to kill him? No one else says anything. What?
It's the first turn.
It's the first turn. Okay.
Even
now,
the second turn.
Another thing is that then you get focused on, I got to go desecrate things, and I've got to get my third eye, and I've got to get the other things, and they forget that you actually do need some gates, even as yellow sign. At least 2. Don't try to get by on 1 gate. 3 gates is a lot for you. 2 gates will get you going, keep you enough extra power, keep you intact, but at least 2 gates. And yes, if you awaken Hastur on turn 2, which is the every beginner, not beginner, semi-beginner, and say, aha, I'll get Hastur turn 2, then I have third eye, and nothing can stop me. Well, what's going to happen with the experienced player is to say, oh, he's getting Hastur turn 2, let's kill him. And they should. Okay? So if you see a guy summoning Hastur turn 2, go kill him. So be careful about that. Okay, here's an example of yellow sign. A good example of a first turn yellow sign thing to do. So first, move a cultist to an adjacent area. Because you have to have an area without a gate to get the king. Get the king. You spent 5 power so far. Then either you can build a gate. Now you have 2 gates and the king in yellow will be guarded, and you're going to have tons of power next turn. Okay, well 10. Or instead of building the gate, move the king back to Europe, where you have 5 cultists plus the king, and desecrate because you have 5 cultists plus the king. That's 6 units. You're certain to succeed in your desecration. You always succeed, and now you're good to go. You will start with 6, 7, 8, 9 power instead of 10, but you'll also have 2 spellbooks instead of 1. Because you get your first spell with the king. If you build a gate, you'll start next turn with 10 power. If you don't build a gate and you desecrate, you'll still have 9 power, but you will have an extra spellbook. So you have to kind of draw your own judgment there. But both of those work. Okay, how to play Opener of the Way. You guys have Opener of the Way? Well, he's very interesting. I think you'll like trying him out. It's all about timing. He's the god of space and time. It makes sense. It's about timing. You have to get the timing right. Now, you have 2 spells that are called the dragons. There's Dragon Ascending and Dragon Descending. Dragon Ascending lets you copy someone else's power. So you say, he has 15 power and I have 2. I use my Dragon Ascending power, and it only happens once in the whole game. And now my power is equal to his, 15. So suddenly you went from 2 to 15. It's pretty great. So the issue with this is, if you save until the last minute to get your power, it won't really have as much effect. It's better to get that early in the game. So in other words, if you get 8 power on turn 2, that might be better than 16 power on turn 4. On the other hand, if you get it too early, you might have buyer's remorse. Oh man, if I waited 1 turn, I get about 4 more power. So usually what you want to do with Dragon Ascending is you start, you say, I'm good. I'm going to you give your plan in your head. I'm doing Dragon Ascending this turn. So first, you do a ritual, because you don't care about your power. You summon Yogg-Sothoth, you spend tons of power, then immediately activate that ability and copy someone that hasn't gone yet, and suddenly you got all that stuff for free. Okay? That's how to use Dragon Ascending. The Dragon Descending, what that does is it doubles your doom points when you ritual once in the whole game. So what you want to do there is sometimes people want to wait until they have 5 or 6 gates, but you're not always sure you're going to get there with other players kind of looking down the barrel at you. So you may want to wait until you have 4 just to make sure you get that done. Okay, now the million favorite ones is a spellbook he has. And what it does is after a combat, your monsters promote, like Pokemon, they evolve into the next bigger step. And I've seen players try to rely on fighting to get the big monsters. Don't do that. It's a perk, not the way you get your big monsters. Because here's the thing. If you want to get your monster leveled up, you take him. So here's your monster. It costs you 2 power. You move into his area. That costs 3 power. You fight. That costs 4 power. And now he levels up into a monster, if he survives, that's worth 3 power. Well, you spent 4 power to get a 3 power monster, and you could have just like built it in the first place. Then you have a 3 power monster. So it's good sometimes, and one of the things you do want to do is put a mutant in your start area, because your cultists can level up too. So if someone's foolish enough to come to your start area, then the mutant, if he comes there to capture your cultists, you'll say, oh, let's have a fight. I'll only roll 1 dice, but all my cultists will promote. And then you have this giant armada of units, and then you can recruit your cultists back, and it's all scary for them. And often that takes them by surprise, and then you can win the game.
I will say one thing you can do also is build a spawn, which is the biggest unit, go and have that combat, because then it splits into 4 mutants.
It splits into 4 mutants.
So you do want to do that, but you don't want to send one lone mutant in to fight. You want to send a big unit to fight that little turns.
Okay. Now, here's how to play the sleeper. Okay, so first off, every faction has a special way of getting elder signs, but the sleeper's way is that it goes to another player, like I'm attacking her, and I'm sleeper, and I say, okay, I'm attacking you, demand sacrifice. Either you can roll no kills against me this turn, or you have to let me have an elder sign. And sometimes they'll say, well, sure, I'm okay with just painting you. But if they give you an elder sign, it's because you're behind, so you need it. So if you're winning, you can't rely on this for your elder signs. The only way you can reliably get elder signs is by doing rituals. So remember that. Do not slack off on the rituals. Now, this is an issue for you because you are power starved. It costs you 9 power to get 3 of your spellbooks, and it costs 11 power to summon your great old one. Okay? Now, that's 20 power you're not spending in building up your faction. Now, you have things that make up for it. All your abilities are cheap. Okay? You have a gate that's off the map that no one can get to. You have half-price movement. And you get free monsters, which you want to plan ahead for. It's like the first turn, if you summon both wizards, then your first free monster is a serpent, which is good. Right? Then if you summon both serpent in the next turn, your next free monster is a spawn, which is good. And you can get pretty good free monsters, okay? But wait. So those help, but the fundamental problem of you have to worry about your power is a big deal. Now, your god is vulnerable. Don't lose him. Here's how not to lose him. The wizard's ability is Energy Nexus. This means that after battle is declared, but before anything else happens, you get to do one action. Okay? So if you have a wizard with the sleeper, okay, and he comes to attack you and says, aha, here is Cthulhu ready to wreak havoc upon Tcho-Tchos, you say, well, just before the battle, I'm going to use Energy Nexus, and I think the action I'll do is move, and you move the wizard and Tcho-Tchos out of the area to an adjacent area that only costs 1 power because of your half-price movement, and suddenly you're not at risk. He can't even hit you. You're in a different area. You can kill your other guys you left behind, but screw them, right? Plenty more where they came from. Okay, next. Ancient Sorcery is the Serpent Man ability to go sit on another guy's faction sheet and steal his special ability. So you can use it to fly with Crawling Chaos. You can use it to summon Tcho-Tchos up for half price if you're in Call of Cthulhu. All kinds of different things, right? Well, the important thing to remember here is that when your Serpent Man comes back the next turn, he brings the power with him he took for Ancient Sorcery. So in effect, you are spending a power this turn that's saved that comes back next turn, so it costs you nothing. Plus you get the ability, so you should always use Ancient Sorcery. It's really, really useful. Okay, now here's how to use Tcho-Tchos. His combat is equal to the enemy's power that he's attacking. Wait, or is it your power? Enemy's power, okay? So that means early in the turn you have the big dice, and late in the turn you have the crappy dice because they're all out of power. So what that means is if you're going to fight with him, fight early, and then late in the turn, when you have all your extra turns at the end because of your lethargy ability, which gives you that don't use that for fighting, use that for capturing the monsters and their cultists. Run around with your sorcerers, your Energy Nexus, and capture them. So early is for fighting, late is for capturing. So how to play Windwalker?
That's a white one.
It is. Okay, so the first Nothkaz costs 4, so nobody wants to summon them. Second one costs 3, third costs 2, fourth costs 1. You want to start getting them early. You don't want to get them in the late game when you have other things to do with your power. So early on, whenever you see a slot where you have a little extra power left over, get a Nothkaz, build them up. By the end, and what this means is by the end of the game, say I have 4 Nothkaz, and I come fight you and you get a kill. Well, I can afford to kill a Nothkaz. It only costs me 1 power. I can get them back for 1. then it's great. If I have one mouth cannon he kills it, I'm never going to summon that sucker back. It costs 4. So get them, build them early on, then use them. Okay, next. The Wendigos. So Wendigos' ability is they spawn on the map for free after a combat. Any combat, not just yours.
After a kill.
After a kill. But it's okay to summon a few early on. Okay? They don't all have to come out of a pool of blood. You don't want to summon them all because you like to have them appear, but it's okay to summon a few. Now, what's going to happen is that with Windwalker, you're going to have one big turn near the end of the game where nothing can stand in your way. You're going to conquer the world. Okay? This one big turn is your shot. Okay? So what you have to remember is that if you have only 1 or 2 gates for the first 4 turns, then 6 gates at the end of the last turn, you're going to lose. Your big turn didn't make up for your sucking so bad the other turns. So you have to have some. You can't just completely put it all off till the end. You need to have 2 or 3 gates the other turns if you can, and keep those going. Have some infrastructure. Then when you finally get your big powerhouse, it'll add to what you've got, and you're going to be behind the first few turns. Just don't fall too far behind. Okay. And when you have your big turn, then it's super fun, and everyone falls before you. Next, hibernate is a really awesome ability. It lets you store power for next turn. Don't use it every turn, or in effect, what you're doing is you're saying, every turn I have 3 less power because I'm hibernating when I have 3 left. That's just dumb. Do it every other turn, so you have this turn I have 3 less, the next turn I have 6 more. And then you're making a profit on it instead of just okay, so every second turn. I think we're good on time. How to play the Tcho-Tchos. Okay, you get no spellbooks turn 1. It's not even possible. Summon a high priest. Then, in the next Doom phase, you can summon Ubosatla, this guy, for free. When enemies come to fight you, your Proto-Shoggoths are good enough to handle. They can vibrate high or low, and they can either turn down their attack or increase their own. They're good for if someone comes after you with Shoggoths or flying polyps, Proto-Shoggoths can handle it. Okay? If you come up with something stronger, it's kind of harder to handle. And you are the one faction, remember I said you can't turtle? This faction can almost kind of turtle. Okay, they can sort of hole up and sort of hold out and get the things they need and use their cultists. So you can turtle with them. Now, in the early game, you have a huge power advantage because your Great Old One is free. Cthulhu's got to spend 10 power getting his Great Old One. Sharpdiggerite has to spend 10 power and kill 2 cultists to get his Great Old One. Right? You don't have to spend anything. So you have this, so use that offensively early on, because as the game goes on, they're going to start getting their spellbooks. Their monsters are absolutely going to be better than yours, and their Great Old Ones are going to be better than yours. You might roll a lot of dice, but their Great Old Ones are going to have abilities like Harbinger and Devourer and so an Avatar. So they're going to be better than you. And so you have to pull your early advantage and hold on to that long enough to survive into the late game when the sharks start circling. You're like, okay, hold on. That's why you can turtle, because you're trying to hold on to your gains in the last little bit. That's how they work. Okay. Don't keep your priests together separate. So you can't hold up in one place. You got to keep them separate, because if you don't keep them separate, you can't use them to get the extra elder signs you need to win. So you're going to want to hold them up because you're afraid of the monsters, but spread them out. Sacrifice them when you have to when they attack you, because you can sacrifice a priest to save your other units. So that's what to do with there. And okay, the Ancients. This is the brand new faction we just released. So you guys probably haven't played them yet. So we'll talk about how to play them a little bit because you want to know. So you are going to grow slowly over time. Unlike the Tcho-Tchos, who are big early and weak later on, you get bigger as you go. Okay, so you're gonna have to wait for a little bit. You're gonna build these cathedrals around the map. Okay, now your cathedrals are placed in the yellow sign glyphs. So start in the area where the adjacent areas have at least 3 different glyph options, like in a corner, because you pick where you start.
2 different glyph options.
Well, 3 if you can get them.
There's nowhere that has that.
That's not true.
It is?
Yeah, because the blank is an option too.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so start in a place with 3 at least, right? Now, don't just build. You're going to want to just build cathedrals because they use spell books and they're entertaining and they give other guys. It's just useful, but you have to build gates too, or you're going to lose, because cathedrals don't give you doom. They just give you other things. So you're going to want to build some gates, not just the cathedrals. Okay. Now, do not fear combat, even though you don't have a Great Old One. Your unmin are free. They don't cost anything to summon. Your reanimated, the atomic zombies, cost 1 power. It's the same as the cultists, and they have attack of 3. What's not to like? Okay, so and the Yothans cost 3 power, but they're a terror and they roll 7 dice. So if one of them is killed, it probably was worth it just for the 7 dice you rolled against them. So you don't have to be afraid of combat. Okay, now the Yothan disability is that if they're killed, they leave the game forever. You never get them back. But don't worry about that, because if you end the game on the end of turn 5 and you have 0 Yothans left, you did fine, because presumably you got the results of 21 combat dice from the Yothans. That has some effect on the enemies, and you don't need them, and you don't need them after the game ends. So let those things go extinct. I mean, use them for their use, but they're strong enough in damage. They're stronger than any great old one, right? You got the combat oomph to survive, so you can use that. Okay, now something to remember is while you don't have to summon a great old one, because you don't have one, you do spend the same power over time getting your gates. You're going to spend 4 to 12 power getting your cathedrals up. So be aware of that. But the advantage is Cthulhu spends 10 power all at once, or Crawling Chaos. You spend your 8 or so over several turns, so you never have one turn you'll lose. But it also means that every turn you're a little shorter of power than someone who didn't summon his great old one. Okay, so be aware of that. Now, you only have one movement ability, which is dematerialization. It'll let you take one area on the map and move all the guys there to another area on the map. So use that every turn, and then that's your movement ability. So be aware of that. Oh yeah, there it is. It's a Doomface thing. If you go to the Doomface with no Yothans, you are a champ. You're probably going to win. Okay, so this is a secret thing just for you guys. Thanks for coming here. We're going to release next year in March the Demon Sultan faction. Okay? And so you have 3 great old ones, and they're all avatars of Azathoth. Okay? So all of your spellbooks take effect in the Doom phase. So you have to. So during the game, we're playtesting them right now, and during the game, you're going to maneuver around and get set up. So at the end of the turn, in the Doom phase, you can go ching, 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 and get all those effects. And you probably won't be able to get all 6. Right? But even getting 3 or 4 really hurts them, because it's things like throw away their monster, replace it with yours. The cultists be yours. Have this gate be yours. Summon the chaos gate. They're all right. They're really fine abilities. So that's but you have to plan ahead a little bit to be ready for that. And with that, we have finished just what I had planned, and we can do a Q&A, and it doesn't have to be about Cthulhu Wars. But that is the bloated woman who is coming in the expansions for Onslaught 3, which hopefully you guys are at least interested in. And actually, that's the dark demon from the same thing. So any questions?
It's not thematically appropriate. Would you ever have a faction that's trying to stop the war?
We have it. The Planet Apocalypse, guys.
Planet Apocalypse. Well, Planet Apocalypse is
the Investigators.
Is a game. Oh yeah, we sort of yes. So in this we've added Investigators, okay, and they are heroic humans trying to stop the great old ones. And what you do is you give those to another player. See, here you have, and then they saddle them with this burden that they have to work with. They have to work around it. So you're still Cthulhu trying to destroy the world, but you have these guys that are harassing you.
Right.
So we also have the game Planet Apocalypse being released. Probably our Chinese manufacturer just told us they were going to get a ship before Chinese New Year. So we'll see, but that's what they said. And in this game, you are heroic humans actually fighting the hordes of hell. So I guess you do that. As far as the faction stopping the great old ones, see, my thinking is I'm kind of along with Lovecraft in this, which is that nothing can stop Cthulhu. Nothing human can do it. So I'm gonna stick with that for the time being. Okay. So, any other questions?
I don't want to interrupt the strategy talk, but I'm just curious about what your role. Are you the sole designer, or is this?
I am the designer of Cthulhu Wars, and this is my assistant designer and developer who helps me on the projects. And he recently did his own game in which I got to be the assistant, which is Evil High Priest, which is a worker placement game where you're attempting to summon Cthulhu or one of the other great old ones. And so you're all in the same cult summoning Cthulhu, but you're not friends because only one of you can be the High Priest. So you don't cooperate at all. You're very hostile, but you're all in the same cult. So it's and it's kind of a dark theme because Cthulhu is always summoned. He's never stopped, right? And even though there's forces of authority trying to stop you, in the end they always fail and Cthulhu comes. There's something, to quote a movie I once was executive producer of, some things can't be stopped. So that's the thing there. So yeah, I am the chief designer. I mean, obviously I didn't do all the art for it. I didn't do the layout or the manual, but yeah, I'm the guy for that. And I'm the main designer for my company. But that doesn't mean I designed. Again, I didn't design Startropolis. I didn't design.
High Priest.
Evil High Priest. Well, I insisted on that one.
Oh, yeah.
But I did design Planet Apocalypse. I did design The God's War. I am designing the game Hyperspace coming up in January, which is a huge space 4X game. Well, not huge, but it's like, actually it plays pretty fast, like 2 hours. But
is there a twist to it? Your 4X, your interpretation of the 4X?
well, I like to think so. I got a couple twists to it. One of the twists is that Lovecraft thought of his monsters as aliens, and his works as science fiction. So some of the aliens are his creatures. So you can play as the Starspawn, which is Cthulhu's race. Another twist is that the races it's wildly asymmetrical. Like they can testify Cthulhu Wars is. When you play as Great Cthulhu, it feels nothing like the yellow sign, right? These are all highly asymmetrical, and they have weaknesses and flaws. They're very quirky, unusual aliens. They aren't a dude with a crinkle French fry taped to his nose. They're like really weird. Like one of them is the Skith. We originally announced the Skith. So the Skith, there's only one Skith, but he travels in time. So what he does is, if he needs to have a bunch of help to build a safe spaceship, he travels back 2 days in time 1,000,000 times in a row. Then he's got 1,000,000 Skith that can all do it. But they're all him, right? But he also has no means of communication, because since it's all him, I mean, they know they're building a spaceship. They don't need to talk. So he's not able to communicate to other aliens either. And he sometimes gets mixed up on what time it is, because like he's trying to do research and he's like, has the wheel been invented? Do we need fire first? I don't get it, And so he's this broad thing. Or we have the Broodmasters, which are an ultimate developed telepathy, but the ultimate telepath doesn't need any eyes or ears or anything. He just sits there and looks for other people's senses. It doesn't need to move because it can rely things to bring it food. So it's just this huge blob mass sitting there being monstrously selfish, because all it cares about is keeping that blob alive. So they're like all corrupt and right, and that's one of the aliens. And there's all these other aliens in it that are. One of the other twists is that there's 24 different alien races in it. So there's a huge, more than any other thing, and they're really different. Okay, if you play Cthulhu Wars, If you haven't played Cthulhu Wars, trust me on this. They're really different. So there's aliens that blow up the galaxy. And there's aliens that steal other people's abilities and not just steal them, they take them away so the other guy doesn't even have them anymore. And there's all this kind of wacky stuff. So. So I think it has a good twist. Another twist, if you're a game guy. So one of the things that strategy games always have is the upkeep phase. Like Cthulhu Wars has the Doom phase. Twilight Imperium is like all upkeep phases, really. You have this, but upkeep phases are necessary in a lot of games, but they do kind of stop gameplay short. You stop. Okay, let's do upkeep, and you wait into that. Hyperspace, no upkeep phase. When it's my turn, I take 3 actions in a row, I'm done. You take 3 actions, you take 3 actions, and it keeps going around and around and around until the game ends. And there's never a break. So you're constantly on the run, trying to stay ahead of the players, which I think is a really interesting thing. You want to produce? Do the production action instead of what you were going to do. You never like, I don't have enough actions. And there's different. Well, there's space monsters that can come destroy your civilizations that you're kind of. Not all the enemies, because like he's really happy that the space monster is in your area, the giant space amoeba or the von Neumann beast or whatever, and you're building a variety of spaceships. You're colonizing planets. You're earning victory points on 4 different tracks that move up that you have to kind of balance. And the 4 tracks, there's kind of correspond to expansion, extermination, experiments, and research. You're researching your special abilities and other people's. You have common text everyone gets access to. So there's a lot of things to it. I think if you follow our newsletter, we've been talking about it. I think we've so far talked about the Skith and the Broodmasters. I've got gamers. One of my new hires came on as a fan, and he was like, he came on because he loves Cthulhu Wars, but he now likes Hyperspace more. He's played it twice, maybe 3 times.
Is
he's
that
like
George?
George, this is bigger. This is going to be bigger than Cthulhu Wars. He really likes it, so I'm very proud of it. And another feature that's very unusual among 4X space games is it only takes a couple hours to play. That's pretty weird.
Great.
So-
You want to spend 8 hours playing Twilight Imperium?
I do like spending 8 hours playing Twilight Imperium, but I can't do it very often. And I can play Hyperspace every night if I want.
That's awesome.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I did want to say, my significant other, Windwalker, he does social media for board games, and he's been in the board games forever, and I never was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Cthulhu Wars that actually got me into actually liking board games. So
Well, your boyfriend should thank me.
he does. And he's very, very so what expansions are we getting this year? So he's
Well, the
You guys
new one
can
here
go
is
because we're all in 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we're out. We're done.
Oh,